people? Welcome back to the final episode of season 3 of Refuse to Fail. This podcast is... No, I'm not trying to plug it. Hey, what's up, people? And welcome back to episode... No, I'm doing that. What's up, people, and welcome back to the final episode of season 3 of Refuse to Fail. I just wanted to quickly say thank you for all the love and support you have shown me this season. It has by far been our biggest, and it's only going to get better from here. Thank you guys so much. The likes, the shares, the comments, watching this, going back through the archives, whatever it is that you've interacted with it, believe me, I've seen it. It's melted my heart how much people have helped me with this season, and it's by far the best decision I've ever made to make this podcast. And this is going to be the first episode of many more to come in the future seasons. I am so thankful for everything you have done. But before we get started on next seasons, we've still got to finish off this one. And I am joined by a true friend of mine, George Taylor. He is a true legend for Edinburgh. He played Scotland age grade. He played Scotland club. He has done so much, but unfortunately he had to retire at the age of 25. And this is actually his first time speaking about it after that announcement. He did something when he did it, but this is the first time he's had time to reflect, really process his journey, and he was gracious enough to come on this show and talk about it. I want to make sure you guys get to see the full experience and realize how much this man is doing. Now in his new businesses, he's also trying to give back through charities that help combat Alzheimer's, things like that, looking after the brain, looking after the health, making sure everybody is there. I really hope you enjoy this episode. Please join me in welcoming on for the final episode of season 3 and Refuse to Fail, George Taylor. Hello and welcome back. This is the final episode of Refuse to Fail. Brackets used to be over in 80 minutes. Season 3, season 1, whatever you want to call it. It's been 10 episodes of absolute greatness, and I get to start it, and we're going back to where it all first began. The main man that helped me get this platform off the ground, helped me reach out to people that I had no business talking to on Instagram. George Taylor, one of a good friend of mine. I've known him for over 13 years now. We're going to come on to that actually later because it came up on my Facebook the other day as well, and I almost shared it, but I saved us the embarrassment of an old rugby photo before we actually fit into a shirt. Like I said, I'm joined by founder of Up North Biltong, Nor Pro Performance, the first stream of this podcast to ever reach 300 combined downloads, former Edinburgh player, Scotland club captain, Scotland club cap appearance. He wasn't quite captain, but he should have been. He's my captain all day, every day. Under 18s, under 20s, and the man that was robbed of a Scotland cap due to some horrific injury, but he is an absolute legend nonetheless. George Taylor, how are you, mate? You well?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, no, thanks for coming on. And obviously, as you mentioned, it was good to be on the very first podcast at over in 80 minutes. So I appreciate you getting me back on, and happy to have a wee chat with you now.
Mate, I'm glad you're here. I'm going to have to start buying some rugby balls and we'll get them signed for when you do your hat-trick appearance. We'll get everybody on the team to get one. Don't know who everybody else would be. Me, my mum, my dad, and whoever was nice enough to make me my dinner when I'm recording something like this on a Wednesday night. But mate, no, so we spoke about that. It's actually been so long since we've known each other. The 13 years ago, you were coming on there. How was it when... No, we're not gonna start like that. I don't know why we're gonna go back there. I don't know where I was going with that. I completely was going to talk to you about something. I just completely forgot it. I suppose we should, we'll start the proper way. Right, George, first thing we've got to start. How's life for you? What are you up to just now? Like, how's life?
Life's good. It's very different to about a year and a half ago now. But no, it's good. I'm in full-time work, doing finance, working in family business. I'm also studying accountancy, so that's helping with day-to-day work. So pretty full on that front. Also, still, as you mentioned, still doing the Biltong and started the Norpro as well, and coaching at Melrose too. So I've probably stretched myself a bit thin since I left, but no, everything I'm doing, I'm loving and I'm enjoying. So it's good to, especially the Melrose coaching, it's good to be able to give back to where I first started my rugby.
Mate, amazing. We're going to go on to Melrose later, but as you nicely alluded to that, you're probably actually busier now than you were back when you were playing for Edinburgh. Because actually, as we said, 2 years ago when you were last on the show, that's where we actually left off just before you had, because you were halfway through your breakout season really there. It was about June 2021. So the kind of the season after that was when you really sort of cemented your team, like your place in that team. You were playing week in, week out. How was that for you when you were actually living the life we all sort of grew up in as the Borders, sort of wanting to emulate that pro player professional life?
It was amazing. Yeah, it was really good. And when you're in that environment, it's the only thing you want to do. It's the best thing. You're literally living, as you say, living your dream. It was your dream when you were young, when you were at minis, middies, under 18s, through all the age groups, it was still your dream, and that's what made you work hard to get there. And throughout the week at professional level, your weeks were good. They were Monday, Tuesday, very very difficult training sessions,
Mhm.
but you knew you were getting every Wednesday off, so you hit it hard for 2 days. You do absolutely nothing or hit the golf course on Wednesday. Um, Thursday, Friday, very, very chilled. If it's a Saturday game, or Thursday, more chilled if it's a Friday game. So you know your weeks by the time you've played 4 or 5 seasons. So you get used to it. The biggest thing I've probably missed is my Wednesday off. For a first week in a new job, my brain was absolutely frazzled. I think 2015 was when I left school. That's the last time I had studied. Um, I mean, I did some personal training courses and coaching courses once I left school, but in terms of proper study, it's been 8 or 9 years now. So it's nice to be able to get the brain working again.
I was gonna say that must have felt weird when like, your brain's asked to be active, but like my shoulders and my thighs are absolutely fine. I'm so confused.
Yeah, exactly. Bodies felt great for once, but the brain, it was difficult.
Mhm.
Especially I'm still living in Edinburgh and traveling down to the borders into the office most days a week, so it,
Mhm.
it was tiring, but it's crazy how quick your brain adapts. You
Yeah.
do pick it up quite quickly.
And then how was that lifestyle though when you were that professional player? And you said that yourself, you're having the Wednesday off, but your life is it seems so regimented there. Once you are that professional player and you have this expectation, because what I imagine is like a great example is the NFL draft that's just took place, and everybody says, "Oh, you've got into the draft and you've been picked." What you don't understand is you're now having to prove that every single day because you're one of these. Like a professional rugby player is such a finite job. Like we just spoke about there about Monday to Fridays. There's not that many professional rugby player jobs. How did your mindset have to change once you were that established pro in that team?
It was difficult, although the weeks were kind of on and off, and you got your recovery day. It was, yes, it was physically demanding the Monday and Tuesday, but as you touched on there, it's probably more mentally draining because you have to prove yourself every week. You've got to fight for that position, for your jersey, for the Friday night game or the Saturday game. Um, so you're performing, you're trying to perform to your highest level every day, and the Wednesday session, the Wednesday day off, yeah, you're golfing, but again, it's helping for Thursday, Friday, and then the game. It is constant, and it's when you're playing rugby, it's never away from your mind. You've always got to think about it, and when you're at home, you've got to look at your opposition or review your training sessions and what you can do better, what you did well. So yeah, you're right. It's from looking out, it's a nice dandy day to day life. But people see game days. That's all they see. Um, when you take it back, you strip it back. You're training, and that training is tough. And as I said, it doesn't stop from the training field. It carries on into evenings, and the amount of analysis that you have to do. It does put a toll on the mental side of things.
You spoke nicely about that then. So you joked at the start that you've probably spread yourself quite thin now, if not as much when you're playing. But people talk in terms of a 37-hour work week. Like you said there, you're taking rugby home with you as much as you are. You're doing 2 hour absolute blitz fitness session on a Monday or a Tuesday. How much was like a quote unquote work week for you when you were actually playing?
Uh, Officially, your contracts were 40 hours
Mhm.
a week, but with
But like, yeah,
especially,
when you hear these, like you hear like the greatest of all times, like they're always doing extras in the gyms and things like that. Like, there's never just one guy that turns up and goes home on the dot in a professional athlete.
Yeah,
atmosphere.
it's difficult to put a time scale on it, and I mean, especially with Cockers, we did have long weeks, we had long days. He was only there to make us better, which he did, and that came with longer days and longer sessions. You know, we'd be in the breakfast hall doing our monitoring and weigh-ins 7 half 7 in the morning, and we wouldn't get home till 5 half 5. So they were long days, especially the Monday and Tuesday. Those were filled with, you know, your, as I say, your monitoring, your breakfast, your gym, your prep to wins, your units training session, your team session, your team meetings, your unit meetings, all the analysis sessions, and it it is a long day,
Mhm.
especially back to back. You know, you're home, you have your breakfast, and you're pretty much sorry, you're home, you have your dinner, and you're pretty much into your bed up at 6 half 6 the next day, and that's where it comes to Wednesday, and you're like, oh my god, like,
You're
but
you're waking up before your alarm, and you're like, "What's going on?"
yeah, yeah, that Wednesday goes so quickly, and you're back to training on Thursday again. So you play your game, you get a Sunday off, and sometimes if we played Friday, you'd be in Sunday. Um,
Christ.
that was with Cockers, anyways, and then back to it Monday. But it sounds a lot, and when you're in it, it is good fun, and you do it for the game days, and you do it because you've got such a good group of guys around you.
Mhm. You mentioned I wasn't even going to touch on this, but you've mentioned Cockers there, and obviously there was a bit at risk of us actually talking about rugby on this podcast. God forbid, as I keep peddling, it's not a rugby podcast. There's all sports here. Check the archives, go to the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, all that. I know people are listening. Do it. Yeah, we go in. But you had Cockers, and obviously he left with quite a bit of. There was a sort of cloud in the air as to why he actually left, because it seemed quite sudden for everyone. But and you spoke of it there. It was a grueling feat, but like you said, Edinburgh rugby got better as a whole. Like as much as we love the attacking rugby Mike Blair has brought to Edinburgh, but now he's probably going to stay more focused on as an attack coach. How was it with Cockers? Was it as grueling as we sort of heard from the outside?
It was, yeah. There's one time Cockers. I think we were away on summer break, and
Mm.
Cockers all summer had just been watching CrossFit videos on Netflix. We obviously brought some to Edinburgh, and he thought of a challenge called Compete to Win.
Nice.
So he started with the backs. It was myself and Christine who were the guinea pigs of that Compete to Win challenge. So essentially, there was two assault bikes under the goalposts,
Hmm.
and then two rowing machines on halfway. So you had to assault bike for zero point 0.2 of a mile,
Yeah.
try and sprint to halfway, but you kind of waddled. I think you rode 500 meters, and you did that 3 times. So
Just as
I
fast as you can. No system to it.
as
Just
fast as you
go.
can,
Yeah.
whole squad watching, and Cocker said, right, if you think George is going to win, stand on his side. If you think Chris is going to win, stand on his side. So quite luckily for both of us, it was pretty split. Um,
I was gonna say that'd be humiliating if everybody went straight to one side. You'd be like, all
yeah,
right.
uh, and Dino actually ended up winning by about a meter or 2 meters, and we were both absolutely ruined. Chris, Dino basically collapsed in the shower, and I was on the physio bed on oxygen. So that probably tells you how horrendous it was. So he did tail it back from then because it was the first one he had tried, and we both just knocked a pan in, and we
Yeah.
were ruined for the rest of the day.
That's the problem. You can't. Like I know the exact videos he's watched because I've recently joined the CrossFit. We were speaking before we came on air. Pudgy Sam was doing season 1 and season 3, episode 1 of this podcast, and like I didn't realize there's such an art to making those workouts. Like you said, we just see them and we just think that person's just said I'm going to try and murder this person through the
Yeah.
medium of fitness, and then I'll throw in Olympic lifting somewhere in the middle just for a bit of fun. But like there's such an art to it, and like you see the person who runs the gym I go to, she was talking to me about them, and she's like, the idea is to find the muscle that you don't think you're working in a workout, and they keep doing it. So it's like you'll keep seeing like, oh, we're gonna do handstand push-ups and we're gonna do burpees and something like that. It's like, but then what you don't realize by the time you've got to like set 5, your forearms and triceps are absolutely butters because you've been
Yeah.
pushing yourself in the burpees as well. And you'll just like go down for one and you're like, I just can't get back up. Like I physically can't push myself off the ground. But
Uh,
but I can't believe
you should. As my missus, she started at a kind of more CrossFit gym, and they do hit and fit and conditioning sessions. And she's like,
yeah.
"Oh, you should come to the session." And I've just been putting it off for the last 2 or 3 months because that sort of we did a bit of that,
Mhm.
but I'm more kind of running fitness, and I'm not kind of full
Yeah.
body fitness. I will do it eventually, but I'm building a baseline for my gym at the minute, so
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm too busy to do that.
Well, mate, as we're going to come on to later, you and Bennett know your own thing about fitness, so I'll take your word for it right now. If you tell me I don't need to do burpees, I'm taking that as law. But so back to the Cockers thing. Obviously, you've just come off oxygen. How was it then when he left? And obviously, there was that sort of where like it was very much. It seemed to us like it was very much a focus on this is where we are when I arrive. I am making sure we are at least here when we leave. And then obviously when Mike came in, it was all jouet. It's nothing but miss fours, and if anybody can throw it through the legs out the back, that's what we're trying. How was that transition when it became so much more of like an attacking focused brand of rugby?
Yeah, it was different, and I think it was probably a big weight off people's shoulders because obviously Cockers had his game plan and it worked to a certain extent. But then Mike comes in and he's very good at using the ability that's on the pitch, So a lot of people maybe didn't manage to express themselves under other coaches, and Mike's come in and he's given you license to use your skills and express yourself that a bit extra. I unfortunately never managed to play under Mike Blair, but certainly in pre-season and stuff,
Mhm.
he was all for um, letting you be a bit more creative.
No, yeah, I meant exactly that when you came through, just how that change in the atmosphere felt, because like you said, it was very much towards the main sort of focal point of this podcast when that happened. But like, could you just feel the changing room sort of not relax because it wasn't the case of that, but it just felt like there was a difference in the air in that preseason.
Yeah, it did. I think part of it was, no one really knew what was happening. It then turned out that Cockers had left mutual agreement, and I think everyone would agree with me. It was the right time. He'd served his 4 years. He did very well for the club, but it was time for someone else to come in. And I think the mood in the change room probably did lift. I think it happens anywhere. It's a change of you know atmosphere. Someone else coming in. It's a clean slate. So I think, and also people knew Mike previously, helping out in Scotland squads,
Mm-hmm.
so they knew what he was like. He was great with the guys, great with the players. So it was that kind of clean slate and a bit, yeah. The mood had been lifted definitely.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously we now have to sort of talk about it. It was a real shame because I always said it was a criminal you hadn't had a Scotland cap by then because you'd literally. I remember texting you when you got pulled into the training squad for that extended period. I can't. Was it the Autumn Nations or was it the Six Nations you did the training squad for?
The Six Nations,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then talk to me about that because I've never had a chance to actually speak to you about how that was.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was really good. There was we were due to play. I think before Six Nations squad, we were due to play England A
Mm-hmm.
down at Leicester, and this was sort of maybe mid to end of COVID, and headed down on a bus. We got there. I'd just come. I think I'd just come out of 10 days isolation because
Mm-hmm.
my missus had she had COVID, so I had to isolate in the flat, and then managed to get a couple of days training. Got the bus down to Leicester. Woke up in the morning. I was meant to be on the bench, and coach was like, "Game's off. There's 3 positive cases in camp."
Oh
Um,
no.
so we had a clean bus and a dirty bus. So I think there was 5 or 6 of us on a clean bus headed back up to Scotland. Um, we didn't have to, but the Scottish government recommended that we isolated as well. Obviously, the dirty bus, they 20 odd of them, they isolated, but we were told that we should isolate as well. So I was pretty much 20 days straight in isolation,
Oh
which
God.
which wasn't great. So missed out on that, and then the Six Nations squad was incredible. You know, you're training along some of these guys that you've watched on TV and that you've looked up to throughout your whole career, and it's where you want to be. And obviously, he's good at speaking to you and updating you with where you are on their radar. But yeah, as you say, it never quite worked out in the end.
Mate, I was honestly heartbroken for you when you didn't get it because it was really because I imagine how were the boys like Hoggy and that, and obviously Saw's very famous faces in Hoyk enjoying the fruits of their labour down in the club system as well at the moment. But how was it when did the border boys take you under the wing, or were they thinking, "Oh, Melrose lad, you're gonna have to earn your stripes here"?
I think there was more like, oh, Melrose lad, but nah, they're all very good. You know, the Borders guys always look after each other. So, no, it's good. I played with Saz at Edinburgh a few times, and
Mhm.
he's obviously enjoying life out in Ireland. So, uh, sorry, I'm just gonna have to have some milk.
Oh. Oh, you've been campaigning that a lot recently. You've been what
My
was it you
milk.
had the other night? You were like, "Oh, 2 pints of milk and this, so treat you right," and it was like pretty much just like lean beef or something.
No, I've always liked my milk. You know, I prefer it to water, and people think I'm crazy, but so much goodness in it.
Aye, it works and it's calcium. You can't complain about it. But
Exactly.
how was that in the Six Nations? I keep ramping on about it because I love elite sport and I love the mentality people have from it. How was that training session like difference? You know, people speak about it. What people might be able to resonate to here is that it's like the collection of what the best Scotland can offer. How was it going? Because like I'm not saying anybody at Edinburgh's a slouch or anybody's taking it easy, but like when you get these, like you've got like Maitland coming up from like Saracens at the time. Hoggy would have been coming up from Exeter, wouldn't he? So like you're getting all these people coming back to sort of play in Scotland. How did it feel? Just even just putting on like the thistle for the training strip, and you're like, oh, this is different. It's not blue and orange. This is the blue. This is satire blue.
Yeah, it was cool. You know, everything's laid out for you. You get all the training kit, whatnot. But the big difference for me was when you're actually on the training park. You know,
Mm-hmm.
your sessions are probably a little bit more condensed,
Yeah.
but the you can see how Scotland play. You know, the speed of the game is much quicker. The speed of training sessions, um, and it's also the expectation for you just to do everything pretty much perfect. You know, because everyone else around you, they're not really making mistakes. They're used to
Mm-hmm.
that environment, and they're at that level because they rarely make mistakes, or it's more than that. They're um, pulling things off the cuff, and they're just constantly training at such a high standard. And for me, it is a big difference from club to international in terms of training standard. Just everything is there's just that expectation that you should be performing at that level, even if you've been there for 15 years or you've been there one session. It's all
Mm-hmm.
the same.
Wow, it was something that I wish I could really experience, and I think we don't. I say we as if we should, but like the public would really benefit from seeing it, like you say, because a lot of people talk about basketball players and when they watch them play not in a game, and it seems like it's almost impossible for them to miss. And like you say, because everybody is just like that skill level is so refined that I imagine watching a training session would be quite eye opening to actually see like even a video breakdown of training sessions. Because I
Yeah,
imagine like it's like a real rarity when somebody drops the ball and everyone's like, "What's happened? Like, why is the ball wet? The ball shouldn't be wet when we come back in from training."
yeah, no, exactly, and that's probably the other eye opener is you can look at someone on TV and be super critical of them for, as you say, knocking the ball on
Mm-hmm.
or chucking a forward pass, but you see them in training and you're like, wow, that guy's just world class, literally. So it's it is eye opening. You know, people do
Mhm.
perform pretty well at training.
Wow. And then, right, okay, I'm gonna stop tiptoeing around it because as much as you're my mate, I have to ask you about it because it's not the biggest part of George Taylor because you're so much more than a rugby player. You always will be, but having to stop playing rugby, it was January 2022 when you decided to retire. When was the first thought of you like this is now a serious thing I have to consider? Like how far back does it go before you were thinking about actually retiring?
I remember saying to Mark Bennett, uh, was it August 2020?
Right. So
Um,
so a full almost 2 years thinking about
well,
it.
after I had that bad tackle down at Scarlets,
Mhm.
um, I said to him, I'm never playing rugby again.
Really?
Just because the experience of it all was just horrendous. I never wanted to be in that much pain again.
Mhm.
So I said, I, I can't do this anymore. But the more you get back to the game, the closer you get back to being on the pitch. You know, the easier it is to think or have that mindset change to work towards it again. And
Mhm.
that happened. You know, I went from walking to the shop and feeling faint and lightheaded and having to sit down to being able to lift weights in the gym without getting a headache. And it was just those little stages that got me back to playing on the pitch. And it's it's crazy how your mindset changes because I was absolutely adamant like I can't do it again. But
Mhm.
the more you train for it, the closer you get to it, you because it's all you want to do. You never want to stop when you're 25 years of age. Um, so it's yeah, and then pre-season got another little head knock on that same spot where I had the
Mhm.
bad tackle, and I think that's when the coaching staff and the doctors were then like, right, we need to properly think about this. I
Oh, so,
went,
so the training staff were actually now like, right, let's get like scans and things and have a look at this properly.
yeah, because I was just especially for such a small head knock that I got in pre-season. So this
Mhm.
is now a year down the line. This is August 21.
Mhm.
Um, very slight head knock that I got. It it set me back for months. And went through loads of scans. Went down to Birmingham. Went up to Aberdeen for an eye specialist. Which one was one of the main issues, bringing on headaches.
Mhm. In
And
terms of like focusing your eyes or just the actual, was it actually affecting your sight?
Nah, there wasn't much double vision. It was
Mhm.
more kind of looking up and down and side to side quite quickly.
Right.
Um, that brought on headaches around the front of the head and around the side, and
Mhm.
I was able to weirdly, you're able to rehab that. So I had a little app on my phone, and
Yeah.
it's red and white lines, and you've got to focus on each red line as it goes up.
All
Uh,
right.
but I wasn't able to do that for a while because it was a major symptom.
Mhm.
Uh, and then it was probably about December, middle of December, that I kind of sat down with my family and said, yeah, it's not right that I'm still doing this. You know, I
Mhm.
don't know what the future holds. I could get another one, and I could be in a much worse position. And that's the difficult thing. You know, you feel in that moment you feel fine, but you know, I got a tennis ball to the head, and it brought on headaches. So for
Yeah.
me, that is just, you know, especially the amount of chat that's going on around concussion and the just this the unknowing of it. It was difficult to carry on, but at the same time, it was easy to then go and sign another contract.
Mhm.
But you've got I don't know, 65, 70 years left to live. It's yeah, it was the right decision, definitely.
I completely agree with you in that, and like you say, the fear is sort of weighing up because like it's like, oh, we've not gotten away with this one, but like you say, it can end up being so much worse, and you don't know how they stack up and affect you. So when it was like that, how was it in terms of, because obviously your brother as well, you know, the famous Melrose Centre partnership of the Taylor brothers, you were walking through teams at club level for a good long time. And I'm sure your mum and dad have got plenty of pictures of you two in gold and
Yeah.
yellow lifting trophies. How was it? Did that play a part as well? Because not only you're thinking about that, you're thinking, I've seen my brother have these concussions. I've seen how these things affect. Like you say, we'll talk about the laws and the change and the unfortunate what seems to be the main talking point of rugby at the moment in a wee second. But having your brother in that as well, did that almost not scare you, because you quite rightly should be uh, apprehensive of these injuries? You know, broken arms. It's very easy to see when somebody's got a broken arm. Like you said, if somebody's getting hit in the head with a tennis ball and they're taking a 10-minute, 20-minute sit down, like we don't know what's going on there. So how was it when you had all these other sort of influences to this decision as well, sort of not bombarding you with thoughts, but just knowing they're there?
Yeah, I spoke to my brother a lot about it, and getting his insight of it was again eye opening. Show kind of seeing and listening to what he had been through. I think I've maybe got out. I got out probably earlier than he maybe could have. I think I was quite lucky in that fact, in the way that he had experienced probably worse than me in terms of number of head knocks, and I think he probably had more than me, and he he was kind of on the other end of it, and I can
Mhm.
then see that and be like, well, if I get another one, what's going to happen? So it was definitely helpful being able to speak to him, and he was there to support me through it, which was good. And yeah, obviously difficult. Seeing your brother retire, as
Mhm.
well, but definitely helped me in my decision.
And then how was it? How was it telling your family you're doing that decision? Because obviously, not that, like you say, as much as it is easy to sign another paycheck, which it's not like a football paycheck where there's these astronomical numbers, but you're still getting paid to do not only a job you're very good at, because you are, like, whether people go, like you were saying, people critique on TV and go, this guy's crap, and it's like, to be the level of crap as an international rugby player is still a very high level of crap. Like, you you're very good at this job. You've worked so hard to get there. You're like, I want to reap the reward. I've been playing this for free for so many years. Now I'm getting paid to play it.
Mhm.
How was it when you're sitting down with your parents, and how long did it take? Like you said, you've had 2 years thinking about it, but when after you went to your mum and dad and said, "This is it. I've had enough. I know when it's time to call it a day." How big was that actual decision? Like, how big was the pros and cons list you actually had to write before you went, "I've made my decision"?
Yeah, as you say, you're mulling it over for a year and a half, and it has up to this date now. It is the most difficult decision that I've ever made. But as you say, it's made more difficult because of all the hard work you've put in since I started. So I started at Melrose when I was 6. Had some incredible coaches playing my way up Melrose, like Rob Christie, Jim Telfer, John DL, people like that, big names. And they've brought
Bert
you on.
Gregg, say Bert Gregg, he'll be watching. Say Bert.
Coach with Bert. um, yeah, those high up coaches, they do a lot for you, and you owe a lot to them. And um, yeah, it's that hard work that you put in all your years, and especially your parents taking you to every Sunday
Mhm.
training session down at the green yards. It is a lot, and it is your life. It has been my life for 20 years. So to then just say I'm backing it in fully was very difficult. But then on the other hand, it's your brain, it's your life at the end of the day. You know, you just two organs that can't repair themselves, so your heart and your brain. So that's yeah, it was worth
Exactly.
it.
Look, and like you said, we're going to go into it in a wee second there. You're still very much involved in rugby now. So after the after announcing your retirement, obviously everybody was so supportive of you. I feel like the borders really rallied around you as a person as well, because you were kind of, obviously there was still Darcy up in Edinburgh and there was a few, but you were really the sort of main talent there from the borders at that point, and everybody was really looking at you as in, this is a shame because, like you said, you're 25 years old and you've done all this work for 19 years from the age of 6, and then as you even said, so ridiculously easy to sign another contract and really just plug away at it. How was the following months when you were getting that sort of attention and you were just like, as we spoke about the first, you're doing 7:30 in the morning until 7:30 at night days, and you're now just sort of sitting there going, oh, how was the club? Because the club kept your contract till the end of the year, didn't they? They said we're going to honour it till the end of the year.
Yeah, they did, and I was extremely grateful for that. They didn't have to, and they did. So obviously retired in January, and they paid me until July. But me, I knew myself if I just sat there doing nothing, I would struggle. It would take a toll mentally.
Mhm.
So I joined a pub. I'd never done any hospitality before.
Oh,
One
you
of my
threw yourself
mates,
into the deep end, straight in
yeah,
the pub hospitality game.
yeah, yeah. No, one of my mates, Robin Jacobs, he manages the Salisbury Arms just opposite the Common Pool.
Great pub, great
Really
Sunday
good.
roast there, great Sunday
Yeah,
roast. I'll
very
plug
good
it for
stuff.
free. Salisbury Arms Sunday roast, have it. It's class, so good.
Yeah, no, it was a good experience, and I think maybe I hadn't told. So I basically started the pub, and I hadn't told any of the coaching staff or the boys, and
Mhm.
it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks into starting the pub. Gareth Baber, the skills coach, came in for a Sunday roast and a glass of red.
He knows the score.
I, I was working on the bar, serving drinks. So I took over his
Mhm.
glass of red. I was like, "Oh, Gareth, how you doing?" He was like, "What are you doing here? You're not training tomorrow." I was like, "Nah, I've retired." So he was quite shocked to see me working behind the bar.
He probably didn't drink that glass of red wine. He's like, I'm seeing things. I'm off
Yeah,
it.
yeah, had too much.
That's I mean, fairness to you to do that as well, because like we just said there, you'd obviously gathered a bit of attention from that. So was there a period of time when you did announce the retirement? Obviously, the offside line did their thing, and as much as rugby might not be the global sport of some others, for those that care about it, it is like be all and end all. Rugby is the reason they work on the weekday so they can go to on the weekend. Did you have that sort of fear when you were working in the pub of like, God, what if somebody sees me and like, there's a phone in my face? Like, what do I do? Something like that.
No, I've saw it more as an opportunity. You know,
Mhm.
I sort of knew what I wanted to do, but you know, I enjoy networking, and it's always a great opportunity to meet new people in pubs, and I enjoyed that social aspect of it. Um, the odd the odd Edinburgh fans came in and didn't recognise me at all. Um, so some
You're
people,
probably a lot milder than when you're on the pitch, to be fair.
yeah, they don't expect me to be wearing Salisbury Arms polo shirts and out on their Friday night meal. But no, everyone in there is really friendly, and like I got a lot of good friends out of it. So would I ever do it again? Absolutely not.
No,
No,
it's like
terrible.
military service. Everybody should do a year and then just can it. Like
Yeah,
it teaches you to be a good person, but then I'm not sticking about in there.
yeah, I 100% believe that. I think if everyone can do 5 or 6 months in hospitality, then people working in hospitality now will have a much easier job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Less people
think
annoying you when you're trying to get a Sunday roast.
100%. Yeah,
I really commend you for it. And then after I suppose one of the things that would really get me, because I try to, when I look at these stories, I try to put them in my own shoes, not because I'm vein, and I think I'll make this about me. But if I was looking at it when I was 25, because I still look at this now, because obviously it's similar to you, I gave up a lot earlier due to concussions as well. Because how many concussions did you have when you eventually? So obviously what was the big injury in the face? What was the actual diagnosis of the injury at that tackle at the Scarlets? 'Cause did you not shatter something here?
I broke my jaw, nose, cheekbone, and eye socket.
Yeah. So
I've
exactly.
got
So
I've got
half your
plates.
face is done. Yeah.
Half my face is done and held
Yeah.
together by plates. So yeah.
So
So
that
I did a
was,
good
and that was
job.
how many concussions did that lead to in the end? So how many concussions have you had? Oh, like serious concussion?
I've had 9 or 10.
Yeah, exactly. So I was on 7, and I did the same as you. I'm getting like you're tempting fate now.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to sit. But the thing that thought of me when you were 25, and we discussed it with the Scotland camp, was there anything that annoyed you? As like, I really just wish I'd got there because you were so like you were on the precipice of it, and obviously you said Gregor's keeping you informed of where you are. Was there anything that annoyed you that you didn't get to do in rugby as a player?
Yeah, you mentioned it there, like pulling on that thistle would obviously be incredible. I was until that point, I was extremely happy with where I'd got to.
Mhm.
I remember being in the boys' academy and Chris Juice Snap.
Our
He
mate, the
yeah
old Stormers jersey. I'm gonna have
yeah.
to find the photo because people don't believe me. See, when I say we were in the same team, like people just remember me for my last 3 years when I was absolute garbage because I had no knees, and they're like, "Nah, no way."
I
And I was like,
know.
"No, I will phone George and tell him I got a start for one game. That was it."
No, I actually owe Juice Snap a pair of trainers because he he had said to me, you'll sign a professional contract within 2 years.
Yeah,
Um,
he never told me that. I can't imagine why.
and I was like, nah, not in 2 years. I don't see myself doing that.
Mhm.
And he was like, well, if you do, you owe me a new pair of trainers. They wore these terrible like Asics trainers with holes in them or something. So
I remember them.
um,
They were absolutely falling apart.
yeah, and I signed within the time frame that we agreed on, and I've actually never bought my pair of trainers.
Yeah.
So I still owe him trainers. Hopefully, he's not listening.
I mean, I hope he is.
Yeah, well,
Hopefully, he rebukes the trainers. But Chris, if you can go on and tell everybody I played in the same team as George Taylor and I won the race to that turnover at last weight, then I'll buy you the trainers. My one claim to fame of beating you in an all-out kick chase down. I'm pretty sure you kicked it, so I had a head start, but I'm claiming it nonetheless. I mean, I'm glad to hear that you didn't walk away from rugby with too much regrets, because like you did have a great career for what you got of it at 25. And now we spoke about the issues surrounding rugby at the moment, which is obviously concussion protocol. We're not staring down the barrel of that infamous NFL trial in the early 2000s or wherever it was. But what's your thoughts on the new tackle law? Because I'm gonna save you here. I'm gonna put my head out on the line. I welcome it. And as much as I can hear me getting banned from every Borders rugby memorabilia thing ever again, I think the new tackle laws are a good thing.
yeah, and obviously, there's got to be something done about the way the game's going. Everyone's getting stronger, faster, fitter, more powerful, and that's just going to welcome more head knocks and bigger collisions, and so something has to be done, and it's good to see that something is being done.
Mhm.
If it just keeps going the way it's going and more head knocks arise, then yeah, it's on World Rugby shoulders. But did I get more head knocks going lower? I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Do people tackle higher to remove the risk of head knocks potentially? So it's a fine line. It's a difficult one,
Mhm.
but I think you've got to trial it. You've got to see how it goes, and they'll be monitoring how many injuries are due to head knocks with the new laws in. So it's good that they are trialing something different. Yeah.
I completely agree with you on that. I think whether it is the right answer or wrong answer, I'm very I used because I when it first came out I was like this is stupid, like because I was the same reason as you. I was like as soon as you start throwing heads at knees, there's only one thing that wins in that collision, and it's
Yeah.
not, and it's not your face. Unfortunately, it is the sharp pointy knee. But I was talking to Ian Chisholm about this actually, because I am, for those that don't know, Ian Chisholm is the head coach here at my local rugby club, and he is a very well respected coach, also coach of the South. I should probably paraphrase that as well, because he'll be very unthankful if I just label him as people's coach. But he's a very explorer, and he plays very attacking rugby. He likes to get the ball moving. And the first thing he said was, all it does is encourage the offload in my eyes. Because I can now tell all my players that nobody's going to be really sort of wrapping them up like that. So if we keep the ball free, we keep moving. So when you look at it from the way of rugby goes, and because everybody praises, your semis, right? Like, remember Bill Matta in like very late 20, like very early 2010s, that sort of time. He was like playing with a cheat code. Like 3 people tackled him and he still passed it. This is physically impossible. So if we can encourage, I'm not saying every kid that now plays rugby is going to be Bill Matta, because that would be very handy. But yeah, like you say, trialing these new things is only going to get better, and we have to do something, because, as you put it there, it's on World Rugby shoulders. But not only that, there's no rugby at the end of it, because if everybody's lying at home, because, well, like you said there, you'd had 9 concussions, and you're like, is the 10th one the one that gets really bad? People can have 3 and go, is the 4th one that's the one that's really bad?
Mm-hmm.
Or even very unlucky case, people can have 1 and that's it. You just get 1 awful concussion. So, well, there we go. George and Sam solve World Rugby. We'll do this on a weekly thing. Any questions or queries, bring them our way. Rugby is not done for you now, but before, how hard was it to go back to coaching at Melrose after retiring? Because I assume you didn't go straight away to coaching.
No, I didn't go straight away. I wanted a break from rugby. I wanted a break from gym, fitness, everything, because I've done it for so long. I probably took
How good did it feel eating what you want and not having to go to the gym at 8 a.m.?
so good. Although it quickly caught up on me, I probably took an overly extended break from the gym and from running, but we're back at it now, which is good. I know I eventually joined Melrose. I think I can't remember when I started with Melrose. I think it was last year, June, July.
I was gonna say, was it not just before that bigger game, like a couple of weeks before the one I ended up talking to you at? Because it seemed very out of the blue when you turned up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was, I don't know, July, August, maybe. I was there for the preseason. But yeah, I wanted time away from it. But I also missed that competitive side to the game and that team environment. It's very difficult to be in that team environment week in, week out, and then that just being shut off completely from you. Mm-hmm. So it was good to, 1, coach players that I had played with, and 2, coach at a club that I had played at. So I'm enjoying it. I don't make every session because it's quite a big commitment with everything else going on, but it's good. We've done okay this last season, doing well at the Kings of Sevens, which is good to see. So no, I'm enjoying it. It's good team environment.
I'm glad. How was it? Because when you decided to go back to coach, obviously, like you say, that's the boyhood club. How did you have to go back and say to them, going, I think I'm ready to be back in a rugby environment? Or did they come to you and say, we know you're not doing much, and maybe, like you said, because if you're friends with some of the boys you played with, did any of them sort of just go, we know George is sort of looking to have something to do on a Saturday afternoon again?
I think some of the boys maybe spoke to Rob Moffat. So Moff got in contact with me probably June, July time. And I was maybe thinking about, what coaching should I do?
Scrums, nothing but scrums.
Nothing but scrums. But I'd been doing a bit of coaching with Duncan Hodge in the Easter camps.
That's not a bad person to learn from either. So that's a good coach to learn from.
Actually, so he's a great coach. And when Moff got in contact with me, I thought, well, what a better club to join and help out. So carrying on there next season, which is good.
Did you have to do a new initiation song and all the? Did you have to redo it?
No, absolutely
No.
not.
Are you now
They're not
worried they've
looking
listened
to
to
do
this going, they never asked me to do it, they're going to ask me to do it now?
I remember Nick Bevan like screaming at me for my first initiation. I think it was on the bus or something. Had something tied to her wrist, but no, I've done my one once.
Yeah,
I've only ever been at Melrose once, and never moved clubs, so I'll only ever do one initiation.
quite right. Yeah, no, coaches don't have to do that, players only.
Aye, definitely. I'll be
Mate,
on the panel.
mate, I'm glad for you, and especially being back at Melrose. And I want to talk a bit about Melrose because it's always a club that fascinates me because it is an amateur rugby club. Obviously, we can paraphrase into Super Series, Super Six, whatever they want to call it, and you've got that Southern Knights team now. But Melrose Rugby always has and always will be Melrose Rugby. What does that club mean to you, like as a whole? Like, what do you get taught about Melrose from growing up?
It's where you want to play rugby.
Mhm.
That's all it was. You remember watching and getting coached by Scott White, Callum Anderson, um, Kelly Brown came down for some of the summer camps, and it was these names that then progressed onto to professional sport. And seeing them when you're a youngster, it's like I want to be in that jersey.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's when you're at school, you're playing rugby. Tuesday, Thursday nights after school, you're playing rugby. Saturday, Sunday, you're playing rugby. Like I always had a rugby ball in my hand, and Melrose was. I don't think I even thought about playing for Edinburgh when I was at Melrose.
Mhm.
I was happy at Melrose, and that's what I wanted to do. It was probably when I maybe signed my first academy contract.
Mhm.
Um, I was then like, oh, I could maybe take this further, but it's playing for Melrose was something I always wanted to do, and it is a massive honour to do it.
So this might be difficult for you to answer, bearing in mind as you've only done the pro side and Melrose. But this is, I can say this as an outside person looking in who's had the privilege of visiting a lot of the border clubs, especially in the last year. And people can say this is me bootlicking, whatever I'm doing. You're saying it because George is here. This is genuinely my honest feeling. Melrose acts like a professional club, just without the professional people, if that makes sense. Like there's so many volunteers, even like the Sevens is the biggest example, like what an organization that is to put on. But do you feel that even the way you bring your coaching into it, do you feel that there's a professional atmosphere at Melrose, even though it's not a professional club?
Yeah, you're right. And when I played there, everything was again laid out for you.
Mm-hmm.
Your strips were ready. You had Red Bulls, waters, sweets. You had everything you wanted. The guys who volunteered were incredible because they wanted you to perform on the pitch. The last thing they wanted you to worry about was your jerseys or your socks or anything like that. So they were all about improving Melrose rugby and making them better because the end goal was winning that league and winning
Mm-hmm.
the title or the Scotch Cup. So they made our lives so much better, and we could just focus on our rugby, and it was such an enjoyable environment. Um, when you were in the storm, all you wanted to do was perform week in week out to then play for Melrose. So the standard of the storm was
Mm-hmm.
incredible as well. So it was just it's a highly competitive team.
And then this might be a question for you. This will be a question for you that I reckon a lot of other border coaches will be eager to sort of get the answer to. How do you instill such a professional? Because obviously rugby in the local community is always subject to stag do's, birthdays, parental commitments, kids, stuff like that. But it seems like Melrose is always, whether they've just the family and friends understand what Melrose is or not. How do you sort of breed that commitment into the club?
A big part of it is having the right people in the right areas. So we've always had experienced players still playing for us. They've
Mm-hmm.
stayed at Melrose for a reason. Like they've enjoyed it, and you can actually see it breeding into other clubs. The likes of Kelso. who won the Nat One league this year, they've got some experienced names in the right places. You know, they'll be a big part of that leadership, and they've not had a massive squad. You know, they've had their injuries,
Mhm.
but they've gone on to, you know, win the most prestigious league or cup in their
Yeah.
league. And I think that's what Melrose is about. It's we've got people who are experienced. Yes, we've lost some big names since Super Six, uh,
Mhm.
but luckily we've kept some. And it's again, we've got Wasp stepping up, who have always watched the experienced players play for Melrose, and it's that want to be where they are, and everyone's just kind of looking up to those players, I guess.
Fair play. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. It's giving us good rugby to watch and talk about on a weekend, so I'm enjoying it. I'm happy to do it. I suppose we should stop talking about rugby now because, like I said, George Taylor, the person, is an equally interesting guy. And as you rattled off your 900 different jobs that you decided to assign yourself after giving up chucking a ball around, tell me. So, first of all, we spoke about it last time you were on and you've spoken about how you're doing accountancy, but you've got a real head for business. Up north, Biltong, how's that been going for you? Because that's now, you've been doing that for a few years now. How's that been?
It's good, yeah. We're in our fifth year of trading,
Mm-hmm.
so it's good. It's busy. Can't complain. Yeah, I've when I started my finance job, I got the option to take a half day on Friday
Mm-hmm.
to allow me to get on the golf course. But that meant starting at 8 in the morning, 8 till 5, Monday to Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
to allow me to get that half day. But with the biltong, I'm probably in the office from 7:30. So if I'm coaching that night, I'm up at 5 in the office at 7:30, and then coaching at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and then I'm not back till about 10 o'clock. So it's a long day. But I mean the biltong, the Norpro, it gives me a good buzz, and I love my business, and that's why I do it. I do it because I enjoy it.
I was gonna say, so how did I think we spoke about this last time you were on, but the fascination for something like because to me biltong was literally unheard of about 6, 7 years ago, and then it slowly became the answer to everybody's coffee shop because Damo's coffee shop, this guy's got a coffee shop. Coffee clubs are a huge part of rugby culture now.
Mhm.
Saturday, like Wednesday morning coffees before the golf course, I imagine were pretty mandatory with the boys.
Yeah.
How how did Biltong find you, and how did you go? I love what this is about. I want to be involved in this a bit more rather than just snacking on it because it's better than eating fruit pastels every time I get a chance.
We got it at the academy after gym sessions, and that soon stopped due to budget. Um, so we had ideas before that failed, and then it was myself, Cammy Hutch, and Jason Baggett that started the biltong.
Mm-hmm.
So we sat in Artisan Roast on Stockbridge. Cammy was eating a bag of biltong, and we said, why don't we do biltong? You know, boys loved it at the academy.
Yeah.
It's a chance to see how it goes. So we never put an initial investment in the business. We got pre-orders in, got the money in, and then we eventually got to a level where we could hold stock, and it
Mm-hmm.
has kind of spiraled from there. So we've had one brand change. The first one was pretty terrible. As you know, you keep it cheap.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine doing a complete rebrand. That sounds like somebody's not thought something through. Who would ever do that? What was the
So
name
yeah,
of this
no,
thing before again? It was. Oh, it's always been refused to fail. We're all right.
don't know what it was before.
Nah, nobody would ever listen to that. Who would?
So yeah, it's now busy. Keeps me busy in the mornings, packing orders. It's maybe taking a bit of a back burner now that the new business has come to light. There are options integrate both or keep them separate. I don't know. I struggle thinking of social media posts for both. So
Join the club. Join the club. I was telling you before we came out, we're doing that. The average social media in terms of content strategies now recommended 80 pieces of organic content across your social channels a week. Which when you think it, yeah, so it's 10, 12 a day. And you're like, bloody hell. Like it includes Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, like it's all the ones you don't think you include. But
yeah.
still, like when you like, the sheer thought of something going, can you think of 80 Instagram posts? And I look at my Instagram profile, I reckon I've got about two months worth of content in the 10 years I've had Instagram.
Yeah, that's difficult. It is difficult, but
Fair play to Molly May. Right. I've never thought I'd shout that out on my podcast. But we're going to talk about what's on your shirt now, because I want to help you plug it, because what you do is actually incredible. And I think in a world where fitness fad has really become an issue, not only because it just hampers on people's mental health on how people don't format it and publish it correctly, but how people just seem to start using it as like a scam to make money. You actually have, like, here's a case in point. Two pro players can do it. So Norpro Performance, give me the initial what it is.
So basically, our new company, me and Mark Bennett started it back in October, and we've just released our first product and website in the last couple of weeks. It's basically batch tested supplements. So we've got a whey protein, a creatine, and a pre-workout gummy. So it's basically a fruit pasta with energy. It tastes incredible.
Sold.
And we do performance programs as well. So we wanted to provide a program to people who wanted to. They had fitness goals, but we wanted them to help them smash those goals essentially, because as you say, there is a lot out there in the fitness world that is total nonsense, and people pump money into thinking it's going to work. But at the end of the day, it's one, it's overpriced, and two, it doesn't actually work because the PT or whoever they use, they don't actually tell them how to train properly. And it's simple. Training is simple. Nutrition can be simple, but online, as you say, it looks complicated, and all you see is shredded guys with their tops off lifting masses of weights. Whereas our programs, they're £30 a month for a tailored bespoke program to exactly what you want to get out of it. And they're updated every month, and it's essentially the supplements are what we took, what Mark takes as a professional player, and the programs are not solely based around what we did, but a lot of the exercises that are in there helped us improve our strength, our power, our speed, because a lot of it comes hand in hand with each other, and people don't know that. They try all these little integrated, isolated workout sessions, or
like your standard three sets for 8 reps and then just go home.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing, people maybe just make up a program on the spot and do that. But when it's actually there in front of you, it's a lot easier to follow, and without breaking the bank. That's what we're all about. We're not about making masses of money from it. So we've partnershiped with a charity, with Norpro.
Oh yeah.
Called Brain Health Scotland. So it's a kind of sister charity to Alzheimer's Scotland. So all about brain health and dementia. So we're going through, at the minute, Mark and I are going through courses through brain health to learn more about what they do and the impacts of your brain, and getting impacts on the brain. So it's very interesting, and it obviously it's close to my heart. It's Mark is living and breathing it every day. It's always on his mind. So it's an important charity to us, and they're happy that we've linked with them. So basically, 10% of our supplement profit will go to that charity, and also 10% of our revenue for the programs go to that charity. So we're pleased to be able to have a partnership with them.
That's really good, and that's the thing I want to highlight there, because what people don't think about is when you're still trying to build a business, it's not like you said, nobody in this is making hundreds of thousands sitting at the back and going, all right, we're giving this much. Like, you're still trying to grow a business, and to make, because you've been operating now for 2 weeks realistically with a website and the stuff, you've done a bit of testing, but if you've had 2 weeks and you're still already going from the outset, this is our commitment, we're already cutting into this overall and saying the most important part we can do here is actually give something there, and it's not directly related, I think is really commendable from both you and Mark Bennett there. So how did you come up with the idea for this? I suppose, like you said, you wanted to help people, but was it just to sit down one day and where you just think, or was it like scrolling? You tell me how it just sort of came about.
We were kind of Mark is so he's level 3 personal trainer. I'm level 2, and Mark took the odd client in his gym at home. So he maybe had 3 or 4, mainly mates. Just he wrote programs for them, and took them through sessions and stuff. But we wanted to do something together that we both knew a lot about, and we thought, well, let's just kind of expand the programs a little bit. Let's help people out, because we've got friends who they've never gymmed in their life before. Like we've done it for 15 years or whatever, and they find that very difficult, and they try and look online, but they can't actually, without spending 100 £150 a month, they can't actually find something online that is beneficial to them. So we just kind of thought, like we could maybe do something around these lines, and we didn't really speak about it much. And then I messaged Mark. I was like, "You fancy a pint at the Steading? The Steading's a bar just next to Hill End." So we just we had a pint, had another pint, and then within those couple of pints, we had created a business on Company's House. Bought URLs, bought domains. So really kicked off that one random pub session. But
you and me have very different looking bank accounts the day after a pub night out. Mine's do not say Company's House. Mine just say Baby Guinness, Suhers, Baby Guinness, and then it'll be like gin and tonic, and I'll be like, oh, I tried to be healthy at that point there because I got a slim tonic or something.
Yeah. No, it was a random pub session, but it was very productive. So I'm over the moon to be able to work with Benzo on it, because we were obviously good mates on the park and outside of rugby as well. So his expertise in that field is huge, with the the rugby CV that he has. So he's currently the main program writer, and he leaves the sort of business aspect to me. So,
I don't know who's got the worst straw there, because I can't imagine anything worse than having to write out tons of programs, because I'd feel very repetitive after a while. But at the same time, you must be thinking, I'd quite like a shot at some point.
Yeah, I do the odd one, if he's too busy with it. So we are getting busier, which is good. Obviously helping the charity, the more we're busier as well, which is good to see. And it's something we've not actually properly released. So the guys on our program, they don't really know they're helping the charity, but they are. Yeah, exactly.
Hey. The businesses, so not only Norpro, but the Biltong as well. What's your plan for this now? Because obviously, like you said, you've got your day job that's paying all the bills, so you can afford to do this stuff and help it grow. Like, how's your plan? Is your plan eventually to sort of shift out of the current job and work on the two businesses full time, or are these constantly just going to be, these are like my passion? They become your new hobby effectively.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a nice incentive that it's not costing you a penny to do that hobby, but it's still going to stay a hobby, and you'll have your main job. What's the plan for them?
I think the biltong was definitely something on the side, which
Mm-hmm.
has kind of grown arms and legs, which has been fantastic. Still undecided what I'd do with that
Mm-hmm.
because it's difficult. It's kind of like my little baby business that has been there for 5 years, and the people I've met even through the biltong has been incredible. It's got some great customers and very friendly people. So what I'm doing with the up north is undecided. There
Mm-hmm.
are a couple of options, but in terms of the Nor Pro, we kind of see ourselves putting more time into that. Um, Mark, he's obviously got a few years left at the rugby, but it would be pretty awesome to allow him to fall back into the Nor Pro side of things. So if we
Yeah.
can grow it pretty well in 1 or 2 years, he can then run that full time. Um, it, as you said before, business is difficult with startups, and you don't know where you're going to be at 1 or 2 years after trading begins. And I think it would be pretty cool if he could fall back into that and do it full time.
All the power to you, mate. We are almost done. I'm kind of there. What's life for you after rugby now? So we spoke about the businesses. We spoke about how your life dramatically changed. Have you got any goals for the future now? Anything personally that you're sort of looking to achieve in the next couple of years?
Um, I think my goals lie within the fitness area. So I took quite a big downturn in terms of mental health and fitness, and when I fully stopped gymming and running, it took a toll on me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I managed to get back into that routine. It was actually Mark who had said to me, I lost a bit of shape physically, and Mark had said to me, "Look, we're selling programs and supplements, and you look like a bag of mashed tatties." So for me, that was a bit like, yeah, that no, it's fair enough. And I was gradually getting back into the training, but
Mm-hmm.
after 2 weeks going Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I felt like I was back in that routine, and the the improvement I had in my mental health was huge. You don't really realize how much running and gym can do. It's that release of endorphins. It feels amazing.
Yeah.
It sounds silly, but from being kind of having quite low mental health to not doing anything to then doing a lot more, it I've seen a massive change, and I think my missus is Jenny. She's seen a massive change in myself as well.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with you there. I think I'm on the same verge as you. So, and it's amazing how many different things there are to do mental health, which is, I say, to do mental health. It's a subject I'm very passionate about, which people listeners of the show will know, because it seems to creep up a lot, which I find really interesting, in how there's such a connection between elite performance and mental health, which shows how it is prevalent everywhere and how it affects everyone's life. But you come in and you almost work out, which is a physical body activity,
Yeah.
and people are like, I'm not fussed about my body, I'm doing this purely for the top 2 inches. And like you say, you feel amazing after it,
Hmm.
and you come out at the end of it and you're like, oh, I'm in good shape now. What a great side effect this was of me looking after my mental state. But how?
Definitely. And I do think you've hit the nail on the head there. The
Mhm.
people see the primary benefit as losing weight, but
Yeah.
for me, and for a lot of people, the primary benefit is feeling amazing, and the secondary benefit is looking great as well. So
Yeah.
it's definitely, I think, the mental health side of things comes first.
Yeah, best muscles to work out, these ones just here that cause a smile. I,
Yeah.
I realized I just pointed at my face on an audio platform. I'm touching just under my cheeks where my smile is. There we go. Um, George, I can't put it enough. I'm gonna quickly ask you now. So when you had that mental health sort of dip there, were you? Because what I think is a real I saw this on this is cringe. I saw a TikTok and it was really good. And it was a guy going and he was talking about kind of like what we spoke about with the fitness thing. All these people are flexing doing that, and he's like, I'm sick of seeing this stuff. I'm paraphrasing a bit to try not swear to keep the YouTube algorithm happy, but I'm sick of seeing this stuff. We'll pretend what word it is. What a real flex is being down so low that you're angry at yourself, you hate yourself, that, and it's like picking yourself up by your shoelaces and getting yourself back to where you were before. That's the biggest flex you can actually give to somebody. So how did you find that? Because it's such an important step in anybody's personal journey to really get themselves back up. How did you find that and sort of tackle it? Did you first have to acknowledge you were in the mental state you were?
Yeah, and I think once you realize that you've taken a bit of a downturn or turned a corner, then the easier it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think at the start you just you pick up little habits that you think are just, oh, that's me just kind of enjoying life after rugby, but those habits, I'm meaning drinking a little bit more after pub shifts or having a McDonald's more often, and that soon takes a toll on your physical side of things. But the longer term and things that you cannot see are your mental side of things, and it was for me that the odd friend, I've been in professional rugby, I know what banter is. So
Yeah,
the odd friend saying, "Oh, you're looking a bit chubby, like you've let yourself go and stuff like that." Yes, it's banter, but I can also see it as there's. I've been told 3 or 4 times now.
yeah. It's
Uh,
it's it's tough for your mates to try find a way to help you, but they don't want to. They don't want to be the one that breaks it to you. I completely get that. They're like you said,
I,
it's them trying to shield it as banter, but it's them going, "This is me trying to say, let's start helping you a bit here."
well, yeah, and to a degree, yes, but
Mhm.
that's where people find it difficult because their friends, it's still banter to them
Yeah,
because they just think, oh, he looks terrible physically, but he's fine mentally. He's
yeah,
um, I didn't look terrible. It was just a change to what they were used to, and they genuinely just thought it was banter, but it
hmm
it probably helped me turn a corner in the end. Um, but what people can't see is what people are going through mentally.
hmm Well,
So,
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Of just it's nice. It's nice to be nice, and it's good to check in on your mates and everything like that. George, I've you've covered everything here today. I think you've been incredibly open and honest, and I thought it was some really tough things for you to talk about. Like I said, this is besides the actual interview you did when you retired. This is the first time you've really spoken about this on a public platform. So thank you so much for coming on. Before you go, there's only one thing we get to talk about, which is my favorite thing to talk about: our 3-song Super Challenge playlist. When Norpro Performance is sending off their massive big donation to your partner charities, you and Benzo are going to be in the gym. You're going to have a killer workout session, but you've got 3 songs to celebrate while you do it. What 3 songs are we going to celebrate with, and why?
uh, so the music I'm listening to a lot to just now is I'm going to watch Luke Combs in October.
Oh, you are speaking my language. I couldn't get tickets. I'm so upset. I couldn't get tickets.
So two from his new album, Fast Car,
Great song. Yep, love
which
it.
I'm not a big fan of the original version, but him singing it is really good. And then Love You Anyway by Luke Combs. Great
Mate,
tune.
see if you're ever carpooling with me down from Edinburgh, because we're on the same journey. Like
Yeah.
I'll show you. My most played is called Country Smash. I've made my own playlist, and it is just the biggest case of white girl country you've ever seen. But you'd love it.
Yeah, fair.
Right. So we've got Love You Anyway and Fast Cars from Luke Combs.
Yeah, and then changing the genre
Mhm.
quite drastically, Help Me Lose My Mind by Disclosure is a banger.
Yep.
So It's if you've not listened to that, get on it. It's very good. It's a good running song actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
very
have
good.
to add it. I'll have to add it to the workout playlist in the CrossFit gym in Ethan.
Yeah,
George Taylor, absolute pleasure. Just as much fun, if not more fun, than the first time you were on. We're gonna have to do it again in another couple of years. We're gonna have to make it a regular thing. George, where can they follow all your activities going on in your many different aspects of life now?
predominantly Instagram. So it's just at up North Bilston or nor pro underscore performance. And then you'll find me just through my name. So yeah.
Easy as that. All those links are also going to be down in the top of this description so you can see them all and make sure you're up to date. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this season. Episode 10 is done and dusted in the bag. Huge thank you, George, for coming on, saving my skin right at the end of the day, making sure I've got the best guest till last. Always fun to talk to. All I need now from you guys is to like, share, tell your friends, go back through the archives. We have 2 whole seasons of footage that came out before this season. Background looks a little bit different. Same great quality of guests, same great quality of conversation. I can't thank you guys enough for the love and support I get each week. This podcast is a completely brand new level. It has been the most fun I have in my week, every single week, reading comments, reading replies. Even if it's somebody that just puts a love heart on it, I see it and I get pretty stoked when somebody shares it. It means the world to me. Thank you guys so much. I will see you again in a few months where I'll be back with a brand new set of guests to talk about all things the athletes in the world of sport, their stories, their own words. Nothing changed, nothing edited, all original, their real thoughts. Thank you guys so much. I will see you all very soon. Goodbye.